First of all, you need to understand that I hate using the term self-defense in any video that I'm talking about fighting skills. However, I used it because that's kind of the common vernacular. But in reality, self-defense is a term used for justifying your use of force. So what I am talking about in this video is using this, a tire thumper, to do violence to another human being. And if you do that, you have to find justification in what you do. So you will likely be brought before a jury, and you will likely have to prove that what you did was self-defense, because self-defense is a legal term that when you assault somebody, you justify the assault by saying it was self-defense, but you have to prove it. You know, you can't just beat somebody up and say it was self-defense, because every single person who's assaultive claims self-defense, whether they were robbing somebody, whether they were drunk and just beating the crap out of somebody. So self-defense is a term by which your actions will be judged to either be or not be. And if they're not self-defense, if it's found that you weren't using reasonable force, which using something like this would be very rare to be reasonable. So if you were found to be not using reasonable force, you could be charged with things like aggravated assault, murder if somebody died in the worst case scenario, manslaughter, assault causing bodily harm. I mean, there's lots of different terms. I don't know the exact ones we use here in Canada, but I do know that you are allowed to defend yourself within reasonable parameters. You got to use reasonable force, and then you can claim self-defense. But understand that if it's just you and somebody else, they're going to claim that they were doing self-defense. It's your word against theirs. So be aware that something like this is an absolute last case scenario. If you can de-escalate, give the person what they need, get away, then that's what you should do. If you have to use this level of force, it's obviously a dangerous, deadly, potentially deadly situation, and you better fucking bring it. Because if you don't, you're gonna get hurt. If this is warranted, you gotta be hitting to stop somebody. You gotta be hitting to make sure they can't keep going. I'm not saying kill them. I'm saying you gotta fucking know how to do business with this, and you gotta know how to do it well, and you gotta know how to do it effectively. To be effective at using a tool like this as a weapon, you don't need to be an expert in eskrima. It does help, but approach it like a pugilist, like a boxer or a kickboxer. Do some shadow boxing with it, learn to develop power with it, and add empty hand strikes so that you are able to adapt to whatever the situation demands. As in boxing, target training such as bag work or hitting a tire is a must. You must also be able to use your offhand. See me using my checking hand there. This is important because a short weapon like this will likely lead to being close range, like even clinching. If I'm going to be completely honest, a base in an art like Muay Thai might be better for a weapon like this than most eskrima styles. However, for this close range work, Balintawak probably is your best eskrima style. And for striking, simply striking with power, I don't think there's another style that is better than the Campo 1-2-3 original that I've come across. However, Balintawak takes time. Muay Thai is a quicker learning curve, and if you put a stick in the hands of a good Nak Muay, he will or she will be able to develop power, hit hard, have timing, and they will adapt quite quickly. Now, if you look at what I'm doing there with that strike, that behind the bag strike, that is a very dangerous strike because it's going to the back of the skull and the base of the spine. This is not something you would use in anything but a life or death situation. Cross-check with it. These are all things you can do in close range, and you must practice them to get good at them. A tire is one of my favorite training tools. I mean, the price is right on these things. You just got to go to a tire shop, and they'll have tires that they're throwing out that they need to recycle, that they'll be glad to give you to get out of their hands, because it costs them money to recycle these things. And they make excellent weapons targets. They don't tear or break down like heavy bags, and they give good feedback. There's a little bit of a rebound off them that isn't the same as striking something like a heavy bag, but they make excellent training tools. Now here you see I'm still using my checking hand as part of my training when I hit this tire. This is one of the most important things to train, either tire hitting or bag work. Besides shadow boxing and bag work and tire hitting, you need to also work with a partner. Quite honestly, the block and counter and Sombrada drills with paired weapons aren't exactly realistic. They build coordination, they build timing, but you're never going to face another person armed with a tire thumper. It's just not going to happen. So you're better off drilling in other ways. However, sparring like this, even though it's not very realistic, allows you to practice working under pressure. And if you look there, I had to overcome being disarmed. Keith used his checking hand well here to keep me at range and continue to hit me. Sometimes closing the distance when you lose your weapon works, other times it doesn't. Here I do the old trap and hit, multiple strikes, and we break and reset. Sparring with each other with weapons of the exact same length may not be realistic, but it still builds timing, coordination, targeting, and is a lot of fun to do. This is a worthwhile activity. This next segment is working against multiple attackers. Now, all they're supposed to do is just get me in the clinch, try and control the weapon, and allow me to see if I can get shots off on someone who's really trying to rush me. Now here I let them come in on me. I don't know why I didn't react in time, but that's shit is messy, right? So there I had to do some high-speed problem solving and hit Keith in the back of the head like that. Things don't always go your way. Here I hit Keith in the head hard, and I lose my stick in the process. But that's how chaotic things can be in real violence. Keith stabs me quite a few times in this training drill, but I keep fighting because we don't want to train a defeatist attitude. Now, there's a few times where I got him clean, but not many. And I would have likely, if someone came at me with a knife with a short weapon like this, there's a good chance you'll take wounds. So you have to be prepared for that. Now, dealing with a longer weapon is hard. What I did there was grab onto the weapon as soon as we made contact, as quickly as I could. And Keith kind of hyper-fixated on keeping the weapon, and I was able to use that against him in the training drill. This would be a very hard situation to survive. These are just some examples of training possibilities.